Okay, greetings. We are rolling. Hi, welcome, dear Pisces. This one's for you. This is Tarot Illumination with your love and relationship report for March 2018. Okay, so you know the drill. Watch for your sun, moon, and rising, and reinterpret everything to suit yourself. Okay, and do all your cross watching too. Right now, we're still just sticking to the very, very most essentials. No jumpers, flyers, oracles, no reversals. Sorry, I don't accommodate all the extra stuff right now, maybe one day down the road. So we're just going to get on with it, okay? If you've seen these reports before, you kind of know the drill. It's all about you and a significant other and the relationship itself, on the understanding that the relationship has an identity, structure, and energy of its own that needs to be understood, honored, and respected, and cherished, and nurtured, and understood, okay? Otherwise, who knows what. All right, so there we go. Cards were well shuffled in advance, but I like to go to the last second so that you are a witness. Okay, so here we go. This would be the love energy that you're radiating, the relationship type of energy. And we're going to infuse this whole thing with the law of attraction so that even if you're single, you could think of this as like a what if reading, just in case there's someone else out there. And that would be the other, okay? This would be deep inside of you. This would be deep inside the other. And this would be the relationship itself. And over here, we're looking at prospects, like the momentum. Where does this all go? Okay. And under here, we're going to look at the weather, circumstantial energy, and how this affects you. Okay. Remember, this is your reading. It's not a couple's reading. And so this would be, could almost be thought of as a mirror or a reflection of you too, if you want to look at it that way, at the extreme ends of spiritual understandings of laws of attraction. So we have the Page of Swords here. So for you, Pisces, it might be you're feeling right now like the circumstances would be triggering the urge to call things out in such a way that, like, if you're feeling that things just aren't quite right or the way that they should be, according to how you understand them, your truth, your own subjective truth to which you have a right, then it would be perfectly understandable for you to call it out. You know, right now with March 2018, we have a huge cluster of Pisces energy coming along anyway. And it's going to be triggering all the Chiron stuff about healing, deep soul healing. So you might be extremely sensitive right now. And even though the sun energy is there for you, so you might be feeling very buoyant in some ways, but also very, very triggered inside of yourself about any kind of deep wounding that needs to be addressed and that might be exposed in the context of relationship. So that could easily trigger like your own inbuilt natural whistleblower, your own soul vigilante type of energy to emerge. Just in case, I'm just giving you my impression here. Let's have a look. What's going on? So more swords energy. So a lot's going on in the mind here, which could be an indication that you may be feeling very, let's say, almost, not say trapped in a corner, but almost like trapped in a corner where you might feel like you have to retaliate and to prove a point and to maintain your own, let's say, integrity, your own concepts and beliefs about how things should work in your own life, in your own world right now, to the point where you're so focused on not coming unglued that you're willing to put all your energy into fighting a battle just to prove a point, which could end up losing the whole war. So I'm not trying to infuse this whole thing with conflict, but it's a lot of conflicting energy here happening at once. And it could be that the Chiron energy that's being triggered right now and heavily lit up with a very strong emphasis on healing, because Neptune is there in Pisces as well, and we got a few more planets clustered there. So it could be, you could be very, very, very sensitive right now, Pisces, to anything that would disrupt your sense of what would be a healthy, loving relationship, to the point where you might, have hair trigger reactions here, and literally just instead of responding, where you listen and feel and absorb and understand energy coming at you from a relationship, it's hair trigger reactions where it doesn't matter about anything except maintaining your own sense of what's right, because it might feel that you're being very called out in the sensibilities, your understandings about what is supposed to be happening in the context of a loving relationship. What about the other? Okay, well, there's more swords here. So you might be dealing with another person who, my feeling is almost like a reflection of yourself, because some people think of this in love and relationship as the divorce card. This is the energy of someone who's basically drawn a line and said, enough with the BS. Enough is enough is enough. I totally love you and honor you and respect you, so long as you come to me in your pure truth as well. So when they are expressing that, like, hi, I'm the loveliest person you could ever want to know, just do not mess with me. Otherwise, I will cut you out, cut you off without the slightest sense of remorse or guilt or loss. Thank you very much. And of course, that could, if we're talking about literally a chain reaction here of conflict triggering conflict, and then the big FU sign triggering, well, FU too kind of energy happening, that could really, really, really bring up just even the slightest, tiniest issues of conflict inside of you, Pisces, about what is not working in the context of a loving relationship. In other words, there's a lot, it's almost on the verge of hostility. But is this hostility from you to another, or from another to you, or what your own insecurities coming out and then being reflected back to you? Might want to consider it that way. So it's not like this is in question right now. All I'm suggesting is that this is a very, very thorny issue right now, very delicate, very, let's say, would really help to be very, very tactful right now with how words are being expressed openly, and how we are listening and receiving other people's words. Also in March, we've got the full moon. I think it's coming up on, what day is it now? I think it's actually the 1st of March. So there could be a lot of exposure around that time, right at the beginning of March, of what is not working for you. Oftentimes, wherever the moon is, I often feel that there's a sense of doubt in there, like spookiness, like, oh no, oh no. So with the moon in Virgo in your 7th house of significant one-on-one primary relationships, you could get that feeling of being totally wigged out at that time. But again, these things shall pass. Think of it as transiting energy. And then 2 weeks later, towards the end of the month in March, there is the Pisces new moon, okay? And I think that is on the 17th. So it could be a kind of a choppy month for you, where you have to be very, very careful. Very, very, very careful. What's going on deep inside of you? Okay, more swords. Definitely a desire for justice received, justice served. Basically bringing things back into the way they ought to be, according to universal laws, as opposed to subjective laws of yourself and another, or like if there's a feud going on here, even if it's an internal thing, let's say you're single, but you're feeling like this sense of energy from your environment in terms of relationships, it could be an indication that deep down in your soul, it is crying out for balance. It is literally crying out for it. And that can occur in relationships by all the worst things that are happening in relationships to be exposed, in order for the whole concept of having to reveal it, to heal it, to become activated according to the Chiron energy. So if we think of, let's say, Venus, okay, so Venus will also be in Pisces, okay? So there's a lot of Pisces energy happening all at once. In fact, let me just show you. Hold on, bear with me. Let me see if I can find that little chart. Yes, here it is. We used this in some of the shows recently. But do you see this? There's a massive Pisces stellium building up over here. And now this is an Aries chart for the whole world, but let's put it right here for you. Okay, let's say that's you. Okay, Pisces, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So look at all this. Sun, Neptune, Mercury, Venus, and Chiron all piled up at some point or other during March, from February 25th, in fact, up till March 4th, and then later on, like I said, with the new moon. So that's a huge pile of Pisces energy. So as lovely and beautiful and spiritual as this might be, and how it can trigger, wonderful creative imaginings about what could happen, it might actually be putting a tremendous pressure here on the Chiron energy about what is not working. Okay, and again, please don't get freaked out by these cards, because it's on Tarot Illumination, it's all about you got to reveal it to heal it. So if this kind of stuff is coming to the surface, and that is just, and that is so, and that's the way it's supposed to be, then please understand that that is supposed to be the way it's supposed to be, because it's almost like the heart is crying out for justice and balance and restoration here about how things should be. Like according to universal truth, not a subjective truth, not their subjective truth, but according to the laws of the universe, the laws of attraction, the laws of allowance, the laws of karma. Let's have a look deep inside of them. Okay. In some ways, it's just like there's the energy of just, holding on to what you've got for fear of losing it. Also a desire to create stability and order and a sense of structure and foundations and power in a relationship. And that might include, having to create some distance, where they feel they might have to create some distance between themselves and yourself in order for them just to protect their sense of stabilities. Because if there is almost like a warlike situation going on here, especially what can happen because of the whole Saturn and Capricorn thing, with Mars and Capricorn thing, and a very hard T-square with the Libra Aries thing happening later in the month. It might be something to do with that. I'm not sure. It's too early to tell. But it could be very destabilizing, and the whole idea that the other person might be seeking to stabilize things in a very unstable situation right now. Let's have a look at the relationship dynamic itself. Okay. Well, like with the star here, it's almost like it's like this is supposed to happen. Okay, all of this stuff here that seems actually quite unpleasant and quite unappealing, and the last thing that anybody would want in a relationship. If you can look at this, Pisces, as some kind of divine way, some form of divine guidance to get you where you really need to be by discovering an awful lot of what you don't need and what doesn't work, as painful as that might be, that could be really, really useful in terms of, deep spiritual evolution. Even though a lot of times what we want in love and relationship is comfort, safety, security, kindness, enjoyment, pleasure, respect, honor, and all those yummy things that people want out of a relationship. But often in very profound, important relationships, we also discover everything that doesn't work because of the laws of mirroring, and how you get to see the very worst of yourself and the other person gets to see the very worst of themselves in the context of a dynamic in a sacred crucible here, which I'm hoping you can see, which in a healthy relationship would allow the worst of the worst things to happen without blowing up the whole relationship. In other words, it would just be an experience for the moment, okay? This too shall pass, as opposed to thinking this is the end of the world. So with the star card here, to me it feels like it's an indication that there is hope here, and that it's happening under the auspices of divine guidance, and that this is exactly as it should be. Thank you very much. So where does that take us? Okay, however it works out, let's just say it exposes like the very worst of things, and how, like, if there is some kind of falling apart here, maybe that's what needed to be found out and discovered, learned, and understood. And as painful as that might be, by allowing the grief and the sorrow to flow, it can be very, very healing. Okay, this might be very uncomfortable. Now, this is quite a profound reading here, and I don't want to scare everybody with all the Pisces people out there. Some of you might be having an absolute blast. All I'm suggesting is that with this huge thing happening here, you, dear Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising, might be feeling this very, very significantly. And it might be hard. I'm just saying it might be a bit of a challenge to handle, especially around the full moon, with the moon over here in Virgo, sitting over here on this side of your chart, so to speak. All right. So I hope I didn't scare you or hurt your feelings or upset things for you. Please make the best of this. Reinterpret however you want, and let me know how it goes. Okay. Thank you so much, and all the best, dear Pisces. Bye bye.